Greetings, salutations. What's up, Love Posse? Thank you for liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing to our channel. Today's message: don't feel guilty because you've made it. Many of you may be able to relate to this. Have you ever felt guilty? Are you feeling guilty because you're the one in your family that made it? You grew up in the slums. You made it. You grew up in the projects of the so-called ghetto. You made it. You grew up in an abusive, alcoholic home. You made it. You grew up in a home where your parents were drug addicts, went to prison, and you made it. You grew up with parents who didn't have a formal education, and you made it. You grew up poor, dirt poor, on welfare, and you made it. Don't feel guilty because you made it. It's not easy. It's not easy to pull yourself up. There's a process involved. You have to make the decision. The individual makes the decision to pull themselves up, to want to do better. Why feel guilt about wanting to do better? Guilt means that you've done something wrong. Is it wrong to educate yourself? Is it wrong to want a house, a car? Is it wrong to travel? Is it wrong to want to live a better life? If you've made it, think about all the things that you went through to get where you are. And the people slamming you. I know from experience. I have 4 degrees. I'm $340,000. I won't say in debt, because my education was a blessing, a gift, but it cost $340,000. All those people who tried to shame me. Oh, you think you're better. Why do you need another degree? Are you going to stay in school for the rest of your life? Oh, you're a white girl. You've lost your ghetto card. Are those people going to help me pay that $340,000 back? Were those people there when I studied every night? I made the choice to study. I made the choice to forego some things, partying all the time. I did party when I was a freshman. Got wasted a couple of times, but I made it. In 4 years, I made it. Were those people there with me when people asked me, how did you get in law school? So-called white people asked me, how did you get in law school? And then when I got in law school, so-called white people asked me, are you an affirmative action admittee? No one took those tests for me. I took the tests. I passed the bar. So I'm supposed to feel guilty because I did the work. I made the choice to be called a nerd and a geek and all the other names that people called me, so-called white people, so-called black people. White people calling me an affirmative action admittee. Black people in law school telling me that I needed to grow some hair and get a relaxer. I got it on both sides. It's damaging to your psyche, to your self-esteem, to your confidence. You have doubts. I had doubts. I was ashamed. I felt guilty that I made it, that I was able to be successful and have 3 homes and travel out of the country. I was able to live well because I put in the time. I co-created with spirit. I could just think of something. Oh, I want that house. I get the house. At the time, I didn't really know anything about manifesting. I just knew. I'd always loved reading, studying, reading the dictionary. But I had to withstand so much shit from so-called Black people, so-called white people, because I chose to better myself. I chose to make the best decisions for myself. And those choices that I made propelled me upward. So now I'm supposed to feel guilty. I felt guilty because I made it. And many of you who will watch this video will understand what I'm talking about. Maybe you're the one in your family. You have brothers and sisters, but you made it. And I'm telling you from someone who's experienced this, you've done nothing wrong. You've done nothing wrong. Don't pull yourself down because you feel guilty. Don't give all of your time and energy and stuff away because you feel guilty. We all make choices. Maybe you chose to study, they chose not to study. Maybe they're smart, but they feel bad about being smart, especially if you're so-called Black. We're teased if we're smart, if we study. Tyffany, you're a white girl, you're an Oreo. Why are you in those honors classes? Who do you think you are? I'm God's child. I'm God's creation. I am part of the oneness that we all are, that is God, that is the universe. That's who I know I am. If you don't make the choices to reach your full potential, that's your business, not mine. But I made it mine. I took responsibility for other people not doing their best, not loving themselves, not feeling worthy, identifying with cultural stereotypes, wanting to fit in with the Blackness. It's all bullshit, love posse. Be the example. Maybe you made it partly because you had to be the example. That's the role you chose when you came into this human form. You said, hey, yeah, I'll be the example. I'll make it. It's going to be challenging. It's going to be hard because people will try to pull you down. And you will pull yourself down. That's what happened to me. I was so ashamed, felt so much guilt. The shame and the guilt are poisons, are part of darkness that cover up the light. And they pull you down, pulled me down, that I started losing my money. I wanted to fit into the Black culture. I thought if I was poor, I would be Black. See? See how the unconsciousness, the guilt, will make you believe shit that's not true. But I'm God's creation. Because at the same time, I chose consciousness and spirituality. I chose to know who I am. I wanted to be closer to the divine. So I had to accept my greatness. I had to accept that, yeah, I am a nerd. Someone has to be, that I love learning. I love who I am. I love that I'm corny. I love that I figured out the fucking game. You see, I figured out, okay, you're smart, Tyffany, and what you don't know, you can learn. We all can do that. We all have a talent. We are more than one. We all have gifts. I figured that out. I figured out we all have gifts, that God looks at us equally, gave to us equally. We have to choose to use our talents and gifts. And if someone else doesn't choose to use their talents and gifts, that's their problem. It's not my problem. I don't have to bring myself down and feel bad and guilty because I got it. There's so much information out there. We have an internet. We have libraries everywhere. If people don't choose to learn, that's their problem. If people want to fit out and fit in and be cool, that's their problem. You can be abundant, wealthy, prosperous, and spiritual. Be who you are. You've done nothing wrong. I did nothing wrong. Don't feel guilty because you've made it. Love, Posse. If you have a passion for something, follow that passion. If you're a nerd and corny and a geek, go with it. Use it. You see, it's not that difficult to make money in this earth plane. It's about vibration, frequency. When you know you're good at something, when you know you're co-creating with spirit, and that spirit has your back, that spirit wants you to be your best self, you're gonna make it. But you have to do the work. I did the work. You've done the work. Other people have to do the work. Be the change you want to see in the world. And that means accepting who you are, accepting that you made the best choices that put you where you are, accepting that where you are is no accident. No one went through what you went through. No one went through what I went through to get where I am. So why in the hell should I feel guilty? Why should you feel guilty, Love Posse? God gave you those talents and gifts. God put you where you are, and you ran with it. When you feel guilty, you are succumbing to the darkness. When you feel guilty because you've made it, you're betraying your soul. You're blocking your blessings. You're playing it small. You're adding to the suffering of the world because you don't have the courage to be who you are. Someone has to make it. Someone has to be an example. Someone has to say, look how far I've come. Look what I've co-created with Spirit. Look what God has done for me. Look what I did. You can do it too. Don't feel guilty, Love Posse, because you've made it. Celebrate yourself. Now don't get arrogant. Celebrate yourself. Say, thank you, God, Spirit. Say thank you to all those who helped you, because we don't get where we are alone. There are no self-made millionaires. Tell your family thank you for the opportunity to learn the lessons that you learned. Tell the world thank you for the opportunity to learn the lessons that you learned, to learn that you had courage and strength, to learn that you had what you needed to make it, to develop your talents and your gifts, to learn new skills. Say thank you. Thank you for calling me those names, because I use those derogatory names as fuel. Say thank you. Again, it's easy. It's easy and not simple, but we all can do it. You have to learn to say yes to some things and no to others. You have to build a thick skin. You have to depend 100% on God, on the Divine Mother. You have to show up. You have to believe in yourself, have confidence in yourself. No matter what the challenge is, you have to continue to move. You have to listen, ask, act, and trust. You have to know that you're worthy and know your greatness. You have to know that you've done nothing wrong. You've done nothing wrong. Don't feel guilty because you've made it. Love Posse. Those who haven't can. They have to do the work that you've done. It's not your responsibility. It's not. You can help people, but don't help them so much that you bring yourself down. Don't make yourself small. Don't hide who you are. Don't feel guilty because you've made it. Love Posse. You see, that's love. Shining your light is love. Being who you are is love. Being the example of someone who can make it and still be authentic and true and kind and compassionate and share what you know is love. Thank you, Divine Spirit, for all you've done for me. Thank you. I couldn't be where I am without the Divine Spirit, without my own ingenuity and strength and courage and drive to make it. Don't feel guilty because you've made it, Love Posse. Thank you for your time. I love you. The divine loves you. You are loved. Namaste. Namaste.